If I asked you to think of a sport, which is the first one that comes to mind? Probably one of the four major ones, right? But what gets a sport to be considered one of the majors? Is it history? Or is it accessibility? Let's play a game. I'll bring up some pictures of professional athletes, and you just tell me who they are. Okay? First up.
Wayne Gretzky.
That would be the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
That's Gretzky.
Okay, next up.
Come on, you're making it too easy. Tom
Brady.
Yeah, there you go. Tom Brady.
Is that a thumbnail of Tom Brady? Oh, Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter. Okay, I've heard the name.
Derek Jeter.
Is that LeBron?
I already knew when he was small. LeBron James.
Now that you mention it, I can, the facial features,
Totally,
like the nose and like the eyebrows and stuff.
This is where it's going to get a little tricky, I think.
Oh my goodness. It also looks like a soccer player, but soccer players don't have that under their eyes. So I'm thinking maybe lacrosse.
Oh, he's a lacrosse player. Shit, what's his name? He's got an R in his name. I know that. I just can't put the pieces together.
No, I don't know. Soccer player. It's not the old Ronaldo.
Oof. That one I don't know.
It looks like a soccer player. Oh God. Soccer. I don't even know the color of that jersey. Calgary Roughnecks. No, that's definitely lacrosse. I went to one lacrosse game last year. And I don't remember this guy.
I think it's neighbor.
Don't know his name at all, but he looks like a guy who would be named like Paul Harrison.
This is Kyle Harrison.
I'm Kyle Harrison, and I play professional lacrosse for the Redwoods Lacrosse Club.
And this is Curtis Dixon, aka Superman.
My name's Curtis Dixon. I play professional lacrosse for the Calgary Roughnecks in the National Lacrosse League and the Chaos Lacrosse Club in the Premier Lacrosse League.
Two of the many faces of professional lacrosse.
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and so obviously one of the more traditional hotbeds of the sport. And my father played, and so we got pictures of me 2-3 years old, starting to run around with a stick. I started playing organized lacrosse 5-6, and then just played it my whole life.
Yeah, my dad, he played growing up. He moved to Vancouver here. He was born and raised in Scotland, and he moved here when he was, I think, 7 years old. And he's the one that put a stick in my hands. I was pretty much, playing since I was born and playing competitively since I was 2 or 3 years old. And kind of just been playing since. I got him to thank for putting a stick in my hands.
Lacrosse is the oldest team sport in North America. It's been around significantly longer than the rest. So why is it that it seems to be the best kept secret in the world of sports? Why isn't it more popular?
Well, I mean, we could talk for the next 3 hours about that, right?
I don't know. If I knew the answer to that question, if other people knew, I think obviously it would be.
I think if you look at what it takes to play football in your neighborhood when you were younger, you walk outside, you got one football, you got 20 cats, you can play a football game of lacrosse. You have one stick and a ball, the other 19 kids aren't playing, right? So you need all those equipment. You need all of that equipment. That's why soccer, football, basketball, those sports are easier to be like a neighborhood fun game that you played when you were younger because you only need one of them and 40 people can play.
Barrier to entry. Always one of the biggest factors to getting new people involved, especially when it comes to contact sports. Gear can be expensive, and catching and passing can be infuriating if you don't have the right people there to coach you. I was lucky enough to grow up around a ton of great coaches. Some of them were patient, some of them were really hard on me, but all of them played a part in me falling in love with this sport. But some people aren't as lucky as I was.
If you're a kid and you pick up a stick and you got to keep the ball in it, and then you got to throw the ball, and then somebody's got to throw it back and you got to catch it. If the experience there isn't a good one, like you drop that ball, you're having trouble keeping the ball on the stick, you're like, what the I'm out. Like I'm gonna go play football. Like there's just nuances to our game that like you have to stick with. And you know, the traditional, I think this is a really big one, but traditionally, especially when you're like gravitating to a sport as a kid and to football, to your point, like football in our, I mean, we live in the neighborhood, any given Saturday, you look out, you know, in the middle of the neighborhood and there's kids playing football in the street. Lacrosse, like you don't necessarily get to that scrimmage part until everybody can catch or throw.
When it comes to coaching, the more options, the better. And when kids find out they have an opportunity to be coached by some of the premier players in professional lacrosse, they're a lot more excited and a lot more willing to stick with it.
Yeah, Rivals it's a youth lacrosse league, so we have divisions in U11, U13, U15, and U19. Each division is made up of 4 teams, so it's about 20-ish kids per team, so 80 per division, around 320 kids total. You know, one of our biggest things was making sure these games got filmed for the kids, so they had, because that's the biggest avenue in lacrosse right now is using lacrosse to be able to further your education and go down to the States and get those scholarships.
But barrier to entry can't be the only reason lacrosse isn't considered one of the majors.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to getting eyeballs and getting a TV deal, getting games on national TV in a regular occurrence. And unfortunately, the NLL just isn't quite there yet. We have our deal with BR Live and with the paid subscription.
Pause. Did you hear that? As a casual sports fan, were you aware that the only way for you to view professional lacrosse is through a paid web subscription?
Okay, excluding YouTube. If I were to say like go watch a professional lacrosse game on their platform, would you know where to go? Do you think?
No, off the top of my head.
No.
Maybe DAZN would have one, but that's guessing.
There's like the PLL, right? I wouldn't know like the website or anything like that.
Yeah. So you wouldn't really know like where to find it.
No, not really.
I would not know where to find it, to be honest.
Not at all.
No.
NLL started their own streaming service, NLL TV, a couple of years ago, and it was maybe $75 for an entire season. It's not a bad price, but when you look at it, the way I look at it is I'm willing to pay that price because you get $50, $75 for an entire slate of games for a season. But I'm somebody who's been watching lacrosse for 15 years now. Mm-hmm. I'm invested in the sport. I'm a diehard fan. For your casual fan, you talk about the NFL. You could flip an NFL game on TV any day of the week, or you could flip it on a TV and there's coverage of it wall to wall. You sort of get an idea. Unless you come across lacrosse, maybe you see a crazy like dunk goal on Twitter or something. You're not getting exposure to lacrosse the way you could.
And that's really unfortunate. Lacrosse has created some of the most incredible highlights imaginable. But up until recent years, the only people seeing these highlights were the people already inside the lacrosse community.
It's really a sport that is dependent on eyes being on the product. And I think that's why it's important for, say, the lacrosse to be at the Olympics or lacrosse just to be on television. It doesn't even need to be a big thing. It doesn't need to rule the ratings. It just needs to be in front of people's eyes in order to grow.
Enter the PLL. The Premier Lacrosse League was founded only a few years ago, back in 2018. Actually, you know what? Austin, you tell him.
So essentially, for anybody that doesn't know about lacrosse, there was the PLL and the MLL. Paul Rabel is the Wayne Gretzky of lacrosse, I'd say, not in terms of maybe skill level, but he's the most marketable face in the history of lacrosse. The MLL was the main league in field lacrosse. Paul Rabel said, basically, we're not being paid enough, so I'm going to go grab these investors. I'm going to become a founder and player of my own league. And he founded the PLL alongside his brother, Mike.
The vast majority of professional lacrosse players also need to have a full-time job away from the sport to be able to support themselves and their families, all while trying to live out their dream.
What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Rabel.
Paul Rabel is trying to change that, so that fans can see what heights this sport can grow to when we see an athlete that's able to fully commit 100% of their time to training, practicing, and playing lacrosse, which is something we've really never seen before.
When you just look at structure, tried to pay guys a little bit more, right? From a compensation perspective, you try and create opportunities for guys to be more full-time in terms of their focus on lacrosse. And so what I'm excited for, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, we're going to have a generation of dudes that like are paid well by their sponsors, and they just play lacrosse and train and try and become the best lacrosse player they can possibly be. And we haven't seen that guy.
When I was a kid, Chaz Woodson was that guy. A guy that would put up the craziest highlight reel goals and was seemingly unstoppable. But even he wasn't able to commit 100% of his time to his craft.
With Chaz Woodson at 28 years old and nothing else to worry about but training and showing up on Saturday, or practice and Saturday to play, couldn't touch him.
Wow.
We didn't see it.
Yeah, the Rabel brothers are smart guys. They know what they're doing, and I think one of the biggest things is social media reigns supreme in the world nowadays, and they've obviously done a really good job promoting themselves all over social media, and they've got some good backing, and they've been able to get obviously deals with NBC and get them get the games on.
Both the PLL and NLL are doing incredible things with their broadcasts. From the sideline or on the bench reporting to consistently miking up players and refs.
And you saw Matt Gaudette absolutely firing an entire squad up to the point where he got jumped the next game by a completely different team because he was chirping so much.
Seems like you guys feel like you got Reardon's number, to say the least. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, Reardon just sucks, honestly, so I'm not sure exactly what to tell you, but he's definitely having a tough day, but this isn't anything new. Yo, Blaze, take yourself out, dude! Hey. Take yourself out, yeah! Where are you, Blaze? Where are you?
From a fan's perspective, it was very entertaining to hear that cackle.
It was.
Yeah.
Maybe want to vomit.
No, dudes don't like each other. It's competitive sports, but on the field, it's chippy. Guys getting after each other. Guys get hit late, high. I mean, that's sports. That's like why we all love it.
But regardless of the product we've seen thus far, there always has to be something new around the corner to draw in new fans.
Tom Schreiber is going to be the guy that does that.
For me, it's Tom Schreiber.
Tom Schreiber. One of those must-watch kind of athletes.
So Tom Schreiber throws passes in our sport that no one else does. And that's not to say there hasn't been a great passer, because we've had millions of great passers. There's a ton of great passers in the country. But Tom Schreiber throws passes with either hand from his hips, which is what makes it so hard to defend. He looks almost as if he's still cradling, and then that thing just comes out, 90 miles an hour on a rope to the backside, and it's like otherworldly. We haven't seen anything like it, and I think that's again, I'm talking all-time great of what the hell am I watching? Tom Schreiber is that.
He can beat you with speed. He's one of the smartest players in the game. He's a Princeton grad, so he's definitely not lacking in the IQ department. He's got one of the best shots I've ever seen in my life. He can pass the ball. He's a leader.
You definitely don't need to search for too long till you'll find something that can draw you into the sport of lacrosse. Ultimately, more people just need to give it a chance. But people also need to be given an easier path to be able to give it a chance.
We're looking forward to getting back out there and trying to defend our title that we won 2 years ago.
I'm excited, man. I think as you get older, I think you start to appreciate the opportunities even more, because that it won't last forever, and nor should it, and nor do you want it to.
I'm very excited. The PLL is going to come first, so that's what I'll be watching first. But we got the NLL in the back of our minds, so we're very excited for that. And hopefully, I can go sit in a press box sometime soon. We'll see.
Now, if I ask you, what is Canada's national sport of the summer? Would you know the answer?
I think it's lacrosse.
Lacrosse?
It's definitely between lacrosse, hockey, and basketball.
Yeah.
Easily, those are the three that popped to my mind immediately.
Yeah, fair enough.
Basketball created in Canada. Hockey is Canada's sport, but the technical national sport I didn't know was lacrosse.